Hey, guys.
Hi, Jay.
Hi.
I wanted to ask about Mikko Koskinen. He, says he doesn't ever look at the stats. The standings are the only thing he worries about. He said that to us before. I just wonder if you get that sense out of him in there as well, if that kind of resonates among his teammates. They feel like he's that kind of teammate.
Yeah. I mean, I would use the term he's team first. And the most important stat that he cares about is wins. And I think that's the way he carries himself. And he's been playing very well for us here lately. And we're going to need him to continue to do that as we push forward.
At times it can take a fairly thick skin for a goalie in a market that is as ravenous as this one for its hockey. What qualities do you think help Mikko do his job here?
Well, I think in my experience being around Mikko, the impression I have is someone who's dialed in and very focused on doing his job. So he's not worried about doing anyone else's job other than his own. So I've been impressed with his level of concentration and focus on just trying to play his part. And I've seen a goalie that day in, day out, game in, game out, gives his team a chance to win.
How does that change the sort of the dynamic of a team heading into the trade deadline, a team that has playoff aspirations, to know that, you know what, maybe that position we were worried about looks like it might have solidified itself?
Well, I think our players have confidence in our goaltending. And in my month here up in Edmonton, I felt very, very confident in it. And I think our players' concern and focus, we've asked them to keep things very small and just worry about people doing their own jobs. And we've had good results because of it. And we're not worried about trade deadlines or stretch runs or anything like that. We're just worried about taking care of the day's business. And I think when you have that type of mindset, that's when you start to see the fruits of your labor or some results.
We've seen goalies, they can struggle and then come back. It's not the end of the world when they're slumping. So with Mike Smith, what's the process of trying to get him back? And is it just kind of hope it comes around, or are there some things that you're seeing or the goaltending coaches are seeing in the workouts that lead you to believe it's heading in the right direction?
But the big thing for Mike was just getting back to being healthy, right? So obviously he's been dealing with some injury issues throughout the entire season. He got back kind of up and running, and then he had that nasty flu bug that took some out of him. And so for him, it's just about getting back to feeling healthy, 100% healthy again, and then putting in the necessary work and practice to earn the right to feel confident.
You mentioned you don't want to look too big picture. Mm-hmm. So do you have a plan, though, on what a rotation for goaltenders are, Jay, or do you kind of go from game to game? Considering, though, that position, seemingly even across the league, there's very few guys who can handle a really heavy workload.
Yeah. Obviously, when I say we're keeping our pitcher small or focusing on the day's business, obviously part of the job of the coaching staff is to manage workloads and understand energy reservoirs. I think for us right now, we're at a good point in our schedule. When I first came up, it was 6 games in 9 nights and 5 games in 7. But now we're at home. We're able to take a little bit of a different look at things. And what I'll tell you right now is that Mikko will be our starter tomorrow night.
Looking at Ryan McLeod, and you had him lots, played him center lots. He's been at the wing so lately, and he's been very well. We see his speed is obviously noticeable and a lot of other things. There's lots of guys who come into the NHL, and it's maybe a little easier to be a winger. And then as you get more experience and confidence, then you can move to center. Is that kind of how you see the progression right now with McLeod?
Well, the thing about McLeod is his gift to transport the puck specifically from the tops of the circles in his own end to the tops of the circles in the other team's end. So a lot of times the player that does that is the person that's in the middle of the rink. So I feel comfortable with Ryan on in the middle as a young player in the National Hockey League. I'm quite comfortable with that. I think when we're putting some lines together, we're looking for dimensions or ingredients to put together a line that has some effectiveness. I think with Ryan McLeod joining Hyman and Draisaitl, he gives them a little bit of youthful energy. He can transport the puck in the neutral zone, but Leon does that as well. But that youthful energy to go get pucks back and to support those other high-end players, I think he's a very versatile guy. He's versatile, and I feel comfortable with him in both positions.
Yes, he had the orange jersey on today, took part in everything, skating very well. I'm guessing that probably doesn't mean he's ready yet tomorrow, but is Thursday realistic, do you think, for him? Or is even tomorrow possible?
I think it's one day at a time. So yesterday was a day off for everybody because he put some really hard work in while we were on the road, and then even when we got back home last week, he just joined team practice the other night, or on Saturday. And so for him, it's he's put a lot of work in. We just want to see how it responds. So we'll see how he shows up at the rink tomorrow morning.
Jay, I just wanted to ask about your use of analytics as a head coach. How would you characterize the role that it plays in your decision-making day to day?
Well, I think it's information, and I believe in collecting as much information as you can in order to make the most informed decisions possible. So I believe in collecting that information. I think there's also the human element of information too, and just talking to people and having a pulse for things. I believe for me that analytics are important, and it's a wave of the future in the game of hockey, but I don't think it's just the only way. It's a piece of the puzzle. It's not the entire puzzle. I think you have to account for a lot of the things that make up good teams and make up good players as well. So do we use them? Yes, we do use them. For me, like I said, try and gather as much information as can and make the most educated decisions based off that.
I know you have internal analytics as a team, but are there mainstream analytics that are available out there that you would find value in? And I don't know if you would share what you feel is a relevant number at any given point that's available out there.
Yeah, I think there's lots of really good public domain hockey analytics sources. And there's also, most organizations have a department that's geared towards analytics. So for me, I think we're not going to go into trade secrets here or what our staff does, but certainly that's an area that we do put import in. And as I said, I believe in trying to make the most informed decisions possible, and that's part of the equation.
Jay, Evan Bouchard was out here, and he has admitted it's been an up and down season for him at times, but you've been around him for a couple of seasons. What's the ceiling for Bouchard?
I wouldn't want to set a ceiling on Evan Bouchard. I think I don't like setting limitations on anybody, and I think ceilings are limitations, right? So he's his own player. He's developing at his own pace. Pretty much this is his first year where he's seeing everyday ice time in the National Hockey League. I think as a young defenseman in this league, typically they don't reach full maturity, I don't think, until 25, 26 years old. So he's still figuring out this league and what his capabilities are. I think he is learning to defend to his strengths, and his offense speaks for itself. He makes a really good first pass. He gets a shot through from the back end. He makes us a difficult check in the offensive zone.
Seems like whenever he's on the power play, he doesn't defer too much. He's pretty confident in getting that shot off. How much of an asset is that on the man advantage?
I think it's important, and it's not easy for some of the younger people that we have to just trust what got them there in the first place. And for Bouch, his shot's a major weapon, and he's been encouraged to use it, and not just to defer to some of the other players that we have out there.
Jay, Evan was joking that when he was asked if he'd ever seen any of Dave Manson's videos, and he said no, but he'd heard rumors that he would be a guy he'd not mess with. So if you were recommending one of your favorite Dave Manson videos, is there one that you'd recommend for Bouchard to watch?
Well, what day is it today? It's March 14th. I think there's a famous one called the St. Patrick's Day Massacre, which was an interesting dust-up I think he had with Scott Stevens, two hard-nosed D-men. So I always like referencing that one. But you're joking around about Dave and his reputation as being one of the toughest customers of his era, but he's also an NHL All-Star, scored over 100 goals. He was a first-round draft pick, played over 1,000 games. So he has a bunch of different experiences to draw from.
The other thing, if you go back even to his time in Prince Albert, two different times, and then he's done an incredible job with young defensemen at every level.
Yeah.
You've worked with him at hands. What does he do? What's the secret to his sauce of developing young defensemen to allow them to get to their max potential?
Well, I'm not going to give away trade secrets again, but I would say I would describe Dave as a very caring coach. And, we've said here over the last few weeks that we want to pay our players the compliment of having high expectations. Well, that starts with a coach displaying care or showing care. And I think Dave cares at a very high level. That doesn't mean it's all sunshine and rainbows. Part of caring about someone is holding them accountable. And I don't think any of the players that have played under Dave confuse accountability with negativity. There's just high standards, and he works very hard at it every single day. And I think the people that he has helped move along in their careers would speak highly of him. And I know that he's made me a better coach just having worked with him for the last 3.5 years. Good, thanks guys.